I'm grateful for the patriotism we see across the country. And here's an example of that. You know, when we met with Secretary Lutnick, I don't know, maybe 1% of the population in the U.S. knew. I can tell, well, you folks know, there was 40 million people just glued to the television, and they know what's going on. And that's the difference between the Canadian people versus the American people. So I'm grateful for everyone's support. Forget the political stripes. Everything's moving forward. I think we need I think we need a little rally or something across the country and get everyone pumped up.
On the tariffs, it looks like...
I'm sorry, sorry, go ahead.
Question.
Yes,
Thank
no,
you.
1, 2 more questions.
Thanks so much. On the tariffs, I mean, it looks like a federal election campaign could be kicked off in less than a week here. Like, what do you see that your role will be during that time when perhaps federal ministers, and they might be a bit busy?
Well, in that, on the tariff side, we're going to continue carrying on that conversation. David Patterson is extremely bright individual. He talks their language. He was a former president of GM Canada. They had a gentleman from Ford, U.S. down there. So they hit it off like two peas in a pod. He's been working on this for a number of months. But we're going to continue moving these conversations forward. And I always say, and I'll repeat it again, I represent Ontario. I don't represent any of the provinces or premiers. If I'm chair, we're going to be sitting down, hopefully on Friday for an FMN. I don't represent the federal government, but what I'm trying to do is continue carrying on these conversations. The last thing we want to do is break away from the table and it starts going back and forth again. But yeah, there's going to be challenges, no doubt. But I believe in the strength of the Canadian people, the manufacturing capabilities we have, the technology we have. We have so many things that America does need. So we're going to move forward and not stop fighting. I'm sorry, Brian, and then I'll go to you, sorry.
At City Hall tomorrow,
yes.
The Executive Committee is going to be looking at a recommendation to have an appointed, unelected Indigenous councillor. That would need to have provincial approval to have full voting rights. That's something that you would back.
Well, I want everyone to be involved, so I'll sit down with Mayor Chow and have a chat with her as well. But I'm proud of all the municipalities that have come out and said, you know, fire trucks, for example. We have a great company in Brampton that builds fire trucks, and I encourage all fire departments to go and buy local, like we're saying right across the board. We do about just Ontario government, not the agencies or anything. We do $30 billion of procurement. We want to focus Ontario number 1, number 2, Canada. And if we just can't get it anywhere, we have to get it off the U.S., then we have no choice. But let's do our best. And again, with people in buying groceries, it's unbelievable. I went in the other day and saw a couple women, they have the bag flipped around looking. And I just said, hello, rah, 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 and what are you doing? I knew what they were doing. They were looking, she said, I'm seeing if it's made in Canada. And the retailers have done a pretty good job with putting the Canadian flags and identifying it. Little Miss Jones is not going to pull out her phone and scan the back. We need to put the price on the shelf talkers and a Canadian flag. Make it simple. And people will buy. Keep in mind, across the entire country, retailers sell about $800 billion. Here, it's a little over $300 billion. Everyone's playing their part in it. I've had people, I'm canceling my trip, I'm doing this. If you have to go to Florida, Walt Disney World, so be it, whatever. But let's focus on the purchasing power of Ontario and Canada. That's the most important. I'm sorry, you were next. I apologize.
Federal cabinet. What do you make of it? Can we get your reaction?
Well, again, I'll work with anyone, right? They have some good people. There's no secret. I have a great relationship with Chrystia Freeland. I have a great relationship with Dominic LeBlanc. And again, yes, she is. Yeah, she does transport.
Do you think you have a better relationship with Mark Carney or Pierre Poilievre?
I don't know either one of them, to be very frank.
Who would you like to get to know better?
Either one. I'll work with anyone. I don't know either one.
EGFO released a report
political
today
answer.
saying that special education is being chronically underfunded. What's your response to that?
Well, when it comes to education, we went from 30 billion up to 40 billion. When the previous government was closing 600 schools, we're building $16 billion of schools. We're going to continue funding education. We have 9,000 more educators today than we did back when we took office. So education plays such a critical role, but the foundation of that education and healthcare is our economy.
Thank you.
So, okay.
Was that explicitly, do you give reassurance that is not?
Yeah, that's.
This event what Trudeau said, that this is about economically weakening Canada and the 51st state. Did you get a reassurance that that's not?
Well, they aren't coming into our country to take over. I'll tell you that. And I kind of flipped this around. What a compliment. We'll never be a 51st state. Canada's not for sale. But isn't it nice that someone thinks we have the greatest country in the world and they want access? And my simple answer to that is, you want access, let's build an AMCAN fortress that I've been saying. Let's supply more critical minerals. Let's supply more energy that you need. We are not the enemy. They know that. Their foe is China. That's their enemy, and ours to a certain degree. So let's just continue.
The president on the 51st state stuff, the president keeps saying it over and over again.
And that's the president. I can't answer for the president. He says whatever's on his mind, and it could change from day to day to day. But at the end of the day, he's the president, and he makes the choices. So I always believe in trying to get through this deal, and let's get back to normal. But the one thing the Americans will wake up real quick, this is going to hurt American jobs. A tariff on Canada is a tax on the American people. And I'll continue repeating it because I know that's the case and I believe in it. So the boss is giving me a wave back there as Colin's smiling. Do you know what I can't wait? You're all invited to the swearing in tomorrow. So I'll see you.
Electricity surcharge, though, is there any circumstance in which you would bring that back April 2nd as an example? Is that a time when you
it's always on the table, Colin, but the last thing I want to do is antagonize and everyone goes to war again. And I want to try to move forward on any negotiations. That's what I believe in. Maybe I'll make Colin the Sheriff of Ontario. Right. I will appoint him. Anyways, thanks, everyone.